community by keeping us safe. We pray that, Lord, you'd keep them safe even as they watch over us as well. Lord, we pray that everything that is done tonight would bring honor and glory to your name. The prayer of the psalmist is that, Lord, the meditations of our heart and the words of our mouth might always be acceptable in your sight. And we pray that be true tonight. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Ready? We're now at public comments. No one signed up to speak, Mayor.
Okay.
So we'll move on to community spotlight.
Yes.
Number 1, receive annual update from Metroport Chamber. Sally Aldridge, President and CEO.
Hello, Sally.
Hello. Hello. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Before you start, I'd just like for people to know that you've been a resident in Trophy Club for how many years?
Since 1996.
She's a long time.
Long-time resident.
So Trophy Club has grown up with you.
Yes, well, all of us. It's grown up with
Yes.
all of us, for sure.
Good.
Well, I'm happy to be here to give you an update on the Chamber. And our year is a calendar year, so the first part of my program is where we ended up in 2022, and then where we are currently in 2023. There are a lot of slides. You all got them ahead of time, so I'm going to run through them really quickly so that I don't use too much of your time. And a lot of the information is also in your packet that I've provided for you today as well. And I think all I have to do is hit this arrow. Okay, so we are your business community. We're here to serve the Alliance region. We've been doing this since 1988. And then we are a 501c6. We have not changed our mission, vision, or value statement, but I always like to present that to our communities. Our region that we serve are 6 communities in one of the fastest growing areas, and we all have to hold our breath as we keep moving through. We serve all areas of business, from the small nonprofits to the entrepreneurs, all the way up to the Fortune 500s and Global 500s. So we have a large program that we provide. Our overview for 2022, we ended the year with just over 500 members with a growth of 24% coming back after the slowdown of the COVID experience that we all had. 82% retention rate, so we really did well at the end of 2022. This is a breakdown of our members and where they all come from. We still have a tremendous amount of members that are coming from outside the 6 communities, and almost about 50%. So there's a lot of businesses that really want to do business here in our area. And then here is a brief update on what happened in 2022. Okay. And here we are in 2023. So here's a mid-year recap. We have grown again by over 50 members, so we're over 550 members, so we continue to grow. And I always like to give a brief overview of all of the partners that we have that help this chamber do what it does. So again, our 6 communities that are tremendously supportive of our chamber, our President's Circle members, our Chairman's Circle members, and then our event partners that we could not do without all of our communities, as well as the partners that come in at the bronze level, and the Town of Trophy Club was a bronze member this year. Our silvers, our golds, and our platinums. And then we continue to focus on networking, education, promotion, and advocacy, which keeps to our mission statement of what we do. And we cover so many programs, so this is, not going to go through everything on these slides, but this is for you to see. And it was also our recap for 2022, all the networking opportunities that we have for our businesses. And then our digital platform, we really have switched to the QR code for everything that we do, and you've got those cards in your packet as well. It keeps everything to real time with all the changes that we have. And then our educational programs that we offer, particularly our leadership program, which is a program that runs from September through to May. And we encourage participation from all of our communities in this as well. Our promotion that we do for our members, our advocacy, which is a big part that we partner with our communities on, with our State of the Communities address that we do at our February luncheon, our Lone Star Legislative Report with our legislators that come in the fall, and then, of course, our leadership class. And then this year we did the Denton and Tarrant County Days, and you can see by the pictures the tremendous support that came out in Austin. Our ED initiatives, which we work with our communities on the strategic planning, our committees that we have once a month, our economic development brochure, the business and residential relocation guide, which you have a copy of, and every community has a double spread on that. What we promote with the communities as well as our businesses on our website, our regional video, and then our regional comprehensive plan that we're actually finalizing that, and we hope to have that to you next month, which is basically an overlay of everybody's comprehensive plans that we worked on with Hillwood and Peloton and the communities. And I could not do this without a great board of directors. These are our executive board, and then our directors. And then I have a great team. We're small but mighty to accomplish all of this. And then our platform is where you find us. Again, everything that's happening with the chamber is on all of these platforms. And then this card is in your packet. And I encourage you to keep it because it's a great way to keep up with everything that we're doing all the time. And then this is just a slide on all the things we've been doing with Trophy Club, whether it's been at our Alliance Development Forum, the business builders we hold here, our luncheon with with State of the Communities, and then we keep bringing things to each of our communities for networking purposes. And then some ribbon cuttings we did in 2022. And I thank you for being such great partners with this chamber since almost its inception, actually. Trophy Club joined in the early 1990s. So thank you for all your support. And any questions you might have?
Questions?
Not a question, a comment.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoy going to the luncheons
Good.
and find them to be great networking opportunities. So let me throw you a little curveball.
Oh.
We always sit at the same table with our same brethren here, which is fine. I love my brethren. But maybe in a future meeting, you can challenge the group to sit at a different table, sit at a different community.
So you sponsor those tables. So each community purchases a table for each one of our events.
So we can still sponsor a table and sit with somebody else.
You
right?
absolutely can.
That's
Would
my point.
love
I
you
mean,
to do that.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
I want to sit with the other folks and find out what's going on, and you can do that before and after. It's just,
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love the idea.
when you see me at another table, don't throw me out.
I won't.
I'd appreciate that greatly, actually.
Well, I always love the State of the Union luncheon to see what's going on around the region. And
Yep.
I will encourage any of you, if you want to know what day is that going to be next year? That's
It will be
challenge
the
question.
second Wednesday in February.
Okay, if you don't have anything to do second Wednesday, February, and you want to know what's going on in this Metroport region, be there, because you will get all the information about what each town is envisioning for themselves and where they want to go and how they're interacting with each other. What day again?
The second Wednesday in
February.
February.
Y'all put it down. It's a great, and each mayor gives a,
An update. 7
State
minutes.
Union.
You get 7 minutes.
well, hey, listen, just give me one. So, yeah, that's great. So we're so
Okay.
excited about it.
Good.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
Okay.
Our next agenda item is number 2, award of scholarships by TCEVA.
Hello.
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi. Thank you, Mayor Tiffany and Council, for the opportunity to present our second annual First Responders Scholarship to the children of police and fire departments here in Trophy Club. My name's Gretchen Wolfer, and I'm the head of Trophy Club Emergency Volunteer Association, TCVA, and I am here with Jamie Cox. She's part of our scholarship committee. And we had a couple other people that were going to show up, but they had some emergencies this evening, so I apologize about that. TCVA is a registered 501c3 formed in 2016, made up of dedicated volunteers that support our town and Trophy Club and our first responders in various capacities. We are able to provide these services through the generous donations of our citizens and local businesses. Our TCVA members assist with events such as the July 4th Pet Fest, First Responders Appreciation Day, Wreaths Across America, and Trophy Club Open House, Fire Open House. All these town events and volunteers can be seen manning the fire rehab tent and information booth, enforcing barricades, and directing traffic. In addition to town events, we have 2 distinct groups in TCVA that are specially trained and certified. The first rehab crew, the fire rehab crew works out of the fire department and Citizens on Patrol and has an office in the police station. Our rehab team is specifically trained and responds 24/7 with the firefighters on extended calls. And finally, the police department Citizen on Patrol receives additional training and certification and can be seen using specially marked Citizens on Patrol vehicles to patrol the streets, parks, and businesses of Trophy Club. So at this time, we would like to recognize and congratulate the recipients of the First Responders Scholarship. TCVA recognizes the incredible strength, resilience of these families by awarding scholarships to the children. These scholarships not only honor the commitment, but they also act as a beacon for hope for the future. They are the symbol of our community's appreciation for the invaluable contributions made by first responders and their families. To the recipients of these scholarships, we want you to know how truly exceptional you are. Your parents' dedication to their duty has undoubtedly, left a lasting impact on your lives. They have instilled in you the values of courage, compassion, and service to others. Today, we acknowledge your potential and the unique perspectives you bring your community. We congratulate you and wish you the best. So we'd like to bring up Reagan Arata and Sarah Jananuski. There you go. Sorry about that. You ready? Okay. Reagan, on behalf of TCVA, we'd like to present this to you. And Sarah, thank you for all you've done. And if we could come and have a picture with the mayor. If the families wanted to come up, we'd like to welcome them as well. Chief Arata and Detective
Yes.
Dave.
Yes. More.
Here we go.
Oh, Mom. Is Mom finished?
Sorry about that.
Terry?
Item number 3, recognize staff in the Trophy Club Parks and Recreation Department and present proclamation 2023-15 for July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month. Council members Bauer and Flynn.
Hello. Is this on? Yes.
Okay, I just want to take a minute, quick minute to recognize our Parks and Rec team. For those that don't know, Parks and Rec is very dear to me. So to be able to appreciate and praise them is an absolute honor. If you think about your day-to-day activities, you probably are affected by the Parks and Rec department more than you know. We tend to think about our events and the happenings around our town, but from our baseball fields to tennis courts, our pickleball courts, to swimming pools, to the trails that we all walk, run, and bike on. These are all amenities that we oversee, that are overseen by this department. The fields are always ready, are they not? These men and women, they work countless hours to make sure that our town stays pristine and beautiful, as well as making sure that we have events for all ages that you and your family can enjoy. Trophy Club would not be what it is without our Parks and Rec department. The standard of excellence that we as residents have come to know and appreciate is achieved by the calculated efforts of this team. Coming to work every day is a choice. It's one that we all make. However, these men and women, they make a choice every day to get up and come to work in Trophy Club in our town so that we, the residents, have a quality of life and a standard of living that is beyond exceptional. So, to Ronnie, to Daniel, Wilson, to Cassidy, to Tim, Amanda, Jorge, Luis, Jesus, Sergio, Jaime, Samuel, Juan, Everardo, Jesus, Daniel Gomez, Hunter, and James, as well as the 11 summer camp staff and 45 aquatic staff. We thank you for your dedication and your devotion. You are all valued, you are all appreciated, and we see you. And now, Mr. Flynn, I will turn it over to you for the proclamation.
Well, it is my absolute honor to be able to read this proclamation on behalf of the town of Trophy Club. This is proclamation 2023-15, again, on behalf of town of Trophy Club. A proclamation of the Town of Trophy Club Council proclaiming July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month in the town of Trophy Club, Texas. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of community throughout this country and certainly in the town of Trophy Club, Texas. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorder, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is a fundamental environmental well-being of the community, and whereas Parks and Recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the Town of Trophy Club recognizes the benefits derived from Parks and Recreation, now I therefore, Jeanette Tiffany, Mayor of Trophy Club, and on behalf of Town Council, hereby proclaim the month of July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month. And the Town of Trophy Club approved this day, the 25th of July, 2023. That's a mouthful.
Congratulations. Give us a hand. I have a trivia question for you. Who introduced national parks in the United States? What president? Come on.
Wasn't Clinton?
Teddy Roosevelt. Take it off.
Why don't you guys hold this right in the middle, hold it open?
We have other parks people out there.
I know it.
Get everybody up there.
Come on, Bob.
Patrick.
Come on, you're on Parks Board. Let's go.
Come on, Bob.
Yeah, we have two park board members with us tonight.
Absolutely.
I know you're wearing dual hats. Good.
I'm ready to fire. Hope so.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. He was a good guy.
Yep.
I could ask the question, did you go to a park this weekend? Anybody go to a park this weekend? Raise your hand. There you go.
Oh,
There you go. Good.
Okay. Item number 4 is Working for You Trophy Club. A, update from town council members. We'll start with Councilmember Bauer.
Okay, here we go. All right, I want to take a minute and talk about the Perryton tornado. On June 15th at 5:06, an EF3 tornado hit Perryton, Texas. There was 3 deaths and 75 injuries. Our governor deployed state emergency response resources to meet that urgent life and safety needs of a neighboring Texas town. With a strike team in place and a call of sacrifice, our Trophy Club deployed 5 of our firefighters and paramedics for 12 days to aid in the emergency response. Our guys responded to a broad spectrum, clearing roads, debris, evaluating infrastructure, and just being of service to Perryton when it was needed. Perryton will rebuild and they will recover, and I'm positive they are indebted to the men and women who showed up with a helping hand. Being a public servant is inherently a thankless job. However, being a first responder, I believe there's a sacrifice and a level of devotion that most of us don't understand. Trophy Club firefighters are no exception. These are the best of the best. I cannot imagine the level of devastation that is seen when a horrific weather event occurs. However, I am comforted to know that if and when something happens here in our backyard, we have servant leaders ready to jump in. So, to Sean Garrett, Oswaldo Ramirez, Brad Teal, Kevin Arrington, and Matt Hennig, I am honored to know you, support you, and work alongside you. On behalf of myself and this council, we appreciate you and we thank you. Chief Wise, wherever you are, you have an incredible crew, an impeccable work ethic, and there really isn't enough words to express our appreciation for each one of them. Please extend our gratitude to your entire staff. And I have something for Mr. Garrett.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other experiences you've had this week that you
I
need to
think,
share?
I think
not done.
Councilman Bauer still
Well-
has one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A twofer.
There's actually a couple things going on here. Let's see. Community engagement. I just want to remind everyone that we are seeking a town manager, and we have a few days left to hear from you. And we would love to know what your thoughts are on a town manager. We want to seek the best. That form closes on July 31st, and we would love to know what's important to you. So please go to www.trophyclub.com/engage, and please hurry. We would like to know all of your thoughts. And lastly, I'm almost done. I want to let everyone know that the mayor and I met with Matt Cox a week or so ago. He is our community development director. As new members of council, it was important for us to understand the inner working and facets of each department. This department covers more than just planning and zoning. It's everything from permits and engineering and even health codes. So I invite you all to learn more about your department and what goes on inside Matt's office. So we thank you for your time and teaching us a few things. Good, thank you, thank you. Okay, now I'm done.
Thank you. That's fine. This is why we're here. Go ahead.
So I did something yesterday that I don't do often enough, and probably you might not as well. I got into my nice air-conditioned car, which I do every day. That's not the thing I don't do. And as I was driving, it was 100 degrees, and I'm driving, all the workers were out there in the medians, pulling the weeds, planting the flowers. This great crew does this all the time. Rain, shine, heat, extreme heat. So I pulled over, got out of my car, shook their hands, thanked them for what they do. Little thing, right? Very minor. But it meant a lot to them. It meant a lot to me. So I encourage not just council, but anybody. If you see these dedicated workers, just thank them. Thank them for what they do. Thank them for the beauty of Trophy Club. Trust me, you'll be as rewarded, if not more, than they were. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve.
Pass.
You're going to pass. Then, Carl.
Well, I have two things. First is the Trophy Club Rotary Club has a fairly new president. He's sitting right there. So I wanted to
Good.
recognize Travis Inge as the new Trophy Club Rotary Club president. And we've started planning for the First Responder Appreciation Day, which is the last Saturday in October. I'll be hitting up the TCEVA and the parks folks and everybody to come out and participate in that again. So October 28th, I believe, is the day. Last year, we had several hundred people that came out, and it was pretty amazing. The second thing is, the second Saturday of August is the next Veteran Breakfast. Milan, Georgia, a Vietnam veteran, resident of South Lake, is going to be our speaker. He was a Huey gunship pilot in Vietnam, and his story is pretty amazing. So anybody can come. It's at Meet You Anywhere Barbecue for the second Saturday of the month at 9 a.m. That's it.
Yeah, I go. It's great. I mean, I learn a lot. It's so fun. Jeff, you have anything to say?
I'm out.
Well, you went to Texas Municipality League Conference. You learned,
I learned 2
No.
pages of notes right here,
okay. All right,
and I've been using them already, so
good,
it has paid off.
good. Luann?
Thank you. You know, we're supposed to kick back in the summer, but I don't believe your council and the town staff does. The council's in a very heavy work season with 2023-24 town budget planning, including reviewing all of our board's budget recommendations. We had a special session on the 12th. We're actively soliciting applications and coordinating with staff to have the appointment subcommittees meet with interested citizens. You might have seen that little poster board on the outside before you came in. Not only to promote applicants to work with and strengthen our boards, but to envision even more citizen involvement as committee members. We'll be getting an update from Tamara Smith on boards and commissions, including looking at the potential of a Trophy Club Arts and Culture Committee. On top of their regular duties, 2 council members were out of town for municipal training last week. This overview barely scratches the surface of what your mayor and council are working on to represent TC residents and our business partners as we focus on town-related matters that affect all of us. And I know that our communications department has kicked off the Explore Trophy Club advertising, and it is just a great program. If you go to trophyclub.org, you'll see a change on our new homepage. And you can either go to government and town business, or you can go to Explore Trophy Club, and I recommend that we all go and look at it. And that's all I have.
Great. I'm going to defer to the quick civic tip. So any update from the Finance Committee? April, you have anything to say? You're good? Okay.
Well, no, I was just going to say that on August the 1st, we're going to meet so we can review the,
Okay, good. Okay, cool, good. Anybody else? Okay. This is Dean Raja and he.
Roja.
Roja.
We practiced that.
We did practice, and I forget, I'm a slow learner. This is Dean Roja, and he is our interim town attorney. And you will see it says quick civic tip. Now, you're probably wondering where in the world did that come from? Well, again, when you are out on the campaign trail, you hear stuff, and you hear people say, you know, I want this, I want that, I want this. Well, this is easy. Somebody wanted to have a civics lesson. Well, we're not going to do a civics lesson, so I thought, well, we'll just do occasionally civic tips. And this is our first opportunity for a little civic tip, and I'm hoping the people who requested that are listening right now. So here we go. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll say this, the mayor has no idea what I'm about to read.
I know.
But you actually have a really great ordinance. So it's chapter 1 in your code of ordinances, it's very lengthy, and it is very comprehensive. I actually think it's one of the best ordinances I've ever seen as far as decorum, civility, the way that you conduct yourselves up here and the public as well. So I'm going to read, this is just one section, it's just the authority, and then I'm going to get to the gavel, because the mayor, it's important for her to have her gavel. Says this, town charter provides for open meetings for the town council at which reasonable opportunity shall be given for citizens to be heard under such rules as the council may provide. The rules of procedure establish guidelines to be followed by all persons attending the town council meeting, including members of the town council, town staff, and visitors. So these rules apply to everyone. Now, these are the rules of decorum. There's an entire section here. Talks about what the mayor can and can't do, what her role is. So I encourage y'all to read that. What the gavel does is it serves to help, and the gavel's not mentioned in here, but everyone has one, right? It serves to help her conduct the meeting. I notice y'all from the very start have a really good cadence. I'm probably interrupting that right now. But I think that comes with the civility that y'all have and also keeping and establishing decorum. So when the mayor is conducting the meeting, follow her lead. That's what the ordinances say.
Good luck.
And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a great civics lesson, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor, with your permission, we'd like to move item 9 up at this time. We have a board member that needs to leave.
Yes, okay.
So item 9 is under individual items. Trophy Club EDC-4B budget. A, conduct a public hearing regarding the Trophy Club Economic Development Corporation EDC 4B budget for fiscal year 2024.
Are you going to speak, Patrick?
You're going to open the public
Open
hearing?
the yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The public meeting is open, and it is 7:34.
Yes. Mayor, we've had no, I don't believe nobody signed up to speak for the public hearing. We've had no phone calls or emails related to both the public hearing posted for the EDC meeting and for tonight's meeting. So.
Okay, so what we want to do is go into the next.
If you'll close
Close
the
the
public
meeting.
hearing.
I'm sorry, close the meeting. It is now. That's quick, 7:35.
Thank you.
And then
you, Mayor.
B is consider and take appropriate action regarding the Trophy Club Economic Development Corporation, EDC, 4B budget for fiscal year 2024.
Mayor, we had a meeting with EDC. We presented a budget to EDC and talked about that, discussed the meeting. We do have the vice chair from the EDC board here to speak to you tonight. Inge, if you don't mind, Mr. Inge, help us. So real quick, if you wouldn't.
I'll go ahead and say, been on the EDC for a few years. We always talk about going out and finding businesses. And so with this budget, you'll see pretty much the only big change is we've allocated a significant portion of our funds that we have towards retention. And that's something we're excited about. We're still in the beginning stage. We've talked about it over the years, but this is the first time we've actually even put something in the budget to do it. So right now, we've presented a budget for y'all's approval. With this, we're asking for $300,000 in that. We were talking to staff. We were putting in some parameters and limitations, how we're going to go through the process. From a high level, we're probably talking about a grant process where they're going to have some skin in the game. There may be some tiers where if you've been in Trophy Club longer, you may have more access to more funds. It's probably going to be towards facade improvements, things that, not only improve the business, but also help us as we are going through the town, aesthetically and things like that. But this is beginning stages, so we've got some more work to do on actually finalizing it. Getting it in the budget kind of holds us to the fire to get it done this year. And I know staff's already working hard on it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, anybody have questions? This is a great opportunity. So, Dennis.
Thank you, Travis. Couple of questions. One, we're also going to hear from CCPD, and they had a very lengthy explanation of their budget, and EDC didn't.
Okay.
So I'd like to recommend that either the next time we get a good explanation of, not just what your 300,000 is, but, you have other expenditures there, okay, that I happen to know what they are,
Okay.
but, a citizen would not. So that's,
So I guess in our economic meeting, we go through it in detail, which is
sure.
publicly
Well, if you looked at the
available.
agenda packet tonight and looked at what CCPD did, okay, and I'm touting, hey, that's great, I'm glad they did it. Would like to have seen you do it too. Then the other question I have is for finance, okay? Is how does EDC have a balance of $500,000, give or take, an interest income of $500? And CCPD has a balance of a couple $100,000, and they have $1,900 worth of earnings.
So those are just estimates. So interest rates are crazy for the bank that we have our EDC money in, where CCPD is in with general fund. So that's more of a manual allocation. So EDC is a little low and CCPD is a little high. We're still tweaking those numbers.
So you're saying that EDC comes out of, or has their,
They have their own
funds.
bank account.
EDC has their own bank account, so it's
Right.
not intermingled with general funds.
Correct. It is totally
Okay.
separate. And
All
so that bank account gets a higher interest rate than our general fund funds do.
Okay,
Yes,
got it. Well, I noticed stuff like that.
Yes, sir,
We're
that's
on a
good.
budget, so,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure, other questions?
Yeah, so I love the idea, Travis and Chief, about providing funds to existing businesses. I mean, we try to do a lot for incoming businesses, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that, but we've got a lot of businesses out there in Trophy Club, been here a long time. Faithful, really the core of this community. And if we can help them in any way, you talked about a facade, a new look of a sign, something as simple as that. You drive by the business and you see a different sign, a different look. That's going to be really, I think, a big boost to them. So I encourage us to continue to do that. That's awesome.
Other comments? I want to say thank you for being here. This is something we're going to start asking our chairs of our commissions and boards to come to the council meetings and present their recommendations so that we can interact with you, because y'all do the vetting, you do the work, and we need to hear from you in the process. So thank you for being here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Travis.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dennis.
Oh, we need to
Thank you
make a
for letting me
motion.
to go
yeah.
Mayor, you'll need
Yeah,
to
we need to
Thank
make a motion. So is there a motion
I'll
to?
make a motion to approve the EDC budget.
There's- And Carl seconds that. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those opposed? Those abstain? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Good job, thank you. So we'll go back to the consent agenda, is that correct, Terry?
Were we through with all the updates, I believe?
I can give a short little manager's update.
Oh, okay, thank you, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Real quick, we're working on budget. That's the season we're in right now, so we're going, April and I, who you just heard from, are going to be spending a lot of time talking about budget. We're going to be meeting with the budget subcommittee coming up. The next item is, obviously, I'm the interim town manager. I've had an interim police chief for the last 3 months. Captain Woodard has done a fantastic job at filling in the police department. I've now turned that over to Captain Tillman to take over for the next couple of months until we have a town manager and I move back. So just want to thank Captain Woodard for his hard work and learning the job and filling in. So Captain Tillman's now taken over in the police department to fill that role until I return. We had a Parks Board meeting last night, and so I'm trying to meet with all the boards to make sure that we talk about decorum like our attorney just talked to you. So reminding them of their roles and responsibilities. So we're going to do that with all the boards going forward to make sure they understand how they're supposed to interact with staff and what they're supposed to bring to you, the recommendations and things like that. So any questions? That's a quick little update before we move on.
Anybody? Questions? Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're down to the consent agenda. Number 5, consider and take appropriate action to approve the town council workshop minutes and the regular meeting minutes dated June 27th, 2023. Number 6, consider and take appropriate action to approve the town council's special meeting minutes dated July 11th, 2023. Number 7, consider and take appropriate action to increase the purchase order with Strategic Government Resources, SGR, for interim town secretary services.
Mayor, I'd like to pull agenda item number 7 from consent.
Okay, and we'll move that after, okay. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda 5 and 6?
I move to approve consent agenda items 5 and 6.
I'll
Okay.
second.
And Bauer second. Okay, thank you. Is there, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? All those abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Let's go to 7. And Terry?
Consider and take appropriate action to increase the purchase order with Strategic Government Resources, SGR, for interim town secretary services.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Mr. Sheridan, I believe you had specific questions.
Yes. This is a requisition, a purchase order and a requisition, both of which say for the interim town secretary.
Correct.
And $24,500. It's not the dollar amount, but both on the PO and the requisition needs a better explanation of what the money is. This is just not paying a town secretary, this is paying somebody else to provide us with the interim. And it's already being done, and this is, if I'm understanding it correctly, an extension. So for future purposes, somebody may look at this PO or the requisition and not the staff report. I'd like the purchase order and the requisition to also be self-explanatory.
Yes, sir.
That's what I had, Mayor.
Okay, so
Other than that, I have nobody else has a
Other-
comment. I'll make a motion that
Okay.
we approve the item number 7, the increase the purchase order of the Strategic Government Resources.
Second.
woo, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, abstained, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
I think you got it.
Good job.
Okay, now we're at
Okay, so we're done.
individual items, back to individual items. Number 8, Trophy Club Crime Control and Prevention District, CCPD budget. A, conduct a public hearing regarding the Trophy Club Crime Control and Prevention District, CCPD budget for fiscal year 2024, submitted to the town council by the CCPD board.
Okay, we'll open a public hearing, and the time is 7:45. Anyone?
Mayor, I don't believe anyone has signed up to speak. During the CCPD meeting, we did have one citizen come forward and speak on this issue. We've had no other emails or phone calls related to that.
Okay, public hearing is closed, and it is 7:45.
Okay. 8B, consider and take appropriate action regarding the approval of the Trophy Club Crime Control and Prevention District, CCPD budget for fiscal year 2024, submitted to the town council by the CCPD board.
Mayor and council, I'd like to take 1 second just to talk about CCPD and the tax that funds this program and EDC and streets. The town receives 2 cents from the sales tax. And out of that 2 cents, 1 penny goes to the general fund, and the other penny is divided by a vote by the residents of the town. Half of that goes to support EDC, the economic development budget we just approved. Another quarter of that penny goes to support CCPD. The other goes to streets fund. So that's how CCPD is funded and EDC is funded. So, and CCPD is a supplemental budget to help support the police department. So we have the general fund money that primarily supports the police department's budget. This is an add-on to that the citizens voted on to support the police department. So I do have the chairman from the CCPD here tonight with us, Leo Daniels, to help us with any questions you may have. But, sir, would you like to make any comments?
No, I don't have any real comments. It's been a pleasure to be on the board. I've been serving for several years and have been the chair for the last 2 years. just happy to be able to help Trophy Club remain one of the safest cities in the state. So no other comment.
Thank you. So we're here tonight to recommend that budget for approval, but question?
Any questions?
No, I had a couple minor questions, which I won't bring up here. Chief and I had an opportunity, a couple line items. He walked me through it, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, I had something on the programs. I went through the programs, and I would really like to see, this may not be the time to do it, but I'd like to see something for adult, family, drug education, outside of the schools, inside the community. I don't know what that would look like, but I'm wondering if that could come under a program for CCPD.
Absolutely. And just something we put on the agenda, we're hoping to have the second meeting in August, the Drug Enforcement Administration is going to come and speak to you about fentanyl and fentanyl use in our area.
And that, maybe that'll start something. I'm thinking that that would be really very nice for our town.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Leo, thank you very much. I really
no.
appreciate the follow-up on with your budget, the explanation, which is what I was referring to.
Yes, sir.
But I would like the staff report to identify the source of funds next time, and anytime we mention either EDC or CCPD. It's already been adjusted, but the ending balance and the beginning balance from the funds, staff is adjusted. Thank you, April. Legal review on page 65. It says it's reviewed it. But my question to the lawyer is that the town attorney has reviewed this item and concurs with the staff recommendation, which is to say approve it. I'd like to hear or see that legal review has also looked at the legal part of these items and certifies that they are legitimate CCPD items for expenditures. Does that make sense? There's a difference between saying you accept the staff approval and what it really means.
Yeah, so they are certified now. I mean, this is section 363.151 of local government code. And it's not an exclusive list. It says for personnel administration, expansion, enhancement, and capital expenditures. And then it provides all these programs, kind of like what the mayor mentioned. And it says the program may include. And so all these other examples are may include. There's no other case law. There's no AG. Well, there's one AG opinion that does talk about how the funds can be approved in the budget.
Right.
But otherwise, yes. This
Okay, thank you. And I'd like, for CCPD specifically, I'd like that to be part of the norm.
Yes, sir. We will
Okay,
have that.
thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
And we did provide all the details to our new legal counsel to go through each item individually. So thank you, sir.
Good, thank you. Good, everyone?
I'll make a motion that we approve the CCPD budget.
Second.
Carl, did you second that? Okay.
I'm beating by.
Jeff, would you
He's
like,
closer to
would
you.
you like to second?
No, just give it to
Carl
Carl. I'm
seconds it.
good.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All those abstained? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 10.
Okay, item 10, case FP-23-004, the Oak Estates, 3H. Consider and take appropriate action to approve a request for a final plat for lots 1 through 9, Block A, the Oak Estates at Trophy Club, consisting of 4.339 acres out of the Thomas J. Allen Survey, abstract number 7, located west of Milson's Point Drive, Trophy Club, Texas.
Okay, Matt.
Good evening, Mayor
It's all
and Council. This is our almost final plat of these gas fuel sites. As stated, this is the gas fuel site 3H. It is zoned R15, consists of 8 residential lots, 1 open lot, and it does have a public cul-de-sac. The preliminary plat was approved by council September 27th of '21. Each of the lots, they do meet all of the minimum lot sizes and each of the setbacks. HOA will be created with the filing of the final plat. that'll just include any of the common elements that, aren't on a residential lot. The engineering plans, they have been submitted to our town engineers, and they have been approved. And if you recall, P&Z wanted to make sure that each of the wellheads were specifically on the civil drawings, and they all are. And so we've met that, and engineers also review that. At this time, I'm going to turn over to Helen Eve. She's our planning consultant to go on. We've got an existing access easement to discuss.
There they go. All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Matt provided most of the background. I'm going to start with the exhibit that's on the left-hand side. That's the preliminary plat. And highlighted, you see a lot that is currently owned by the HOA, and it was for open space and access for the user of the gas well site. So it's still an access point into the community. We are working with the HOA and legal to go through a transfer of ownership from the HOA to the city. We've secured a title company that'll be helping us with all of that. And let's see, outside of that, the commission was really involved, and it brought a lot of history from when the preliminary plat was approved. We had a resident that came and spoke and was concerned about access and safety at the end of Milson's Point and where Tulip Drive connected. So they gave us direction that the applicant, the engineer, and the town's engineer look at this area for safety. The engineering plans that had been submitted and approved identify a stop sign right at that intersection. Folks that are leaving Tulip Drive and going on to Milson's Point. So that is the traffic calming, that is the appropriate tool in that area. They also had expressed interest in us considering the visibility for the driveway for the lot at the end of Milson's Point. And the driveway is not on the west side, it's right here on the east side, so there is adequate visibility in that area. Then once again, the stop sign will help with visibility as well as if any children are playing in the cul-de-sac. Staff recommends approval with the following condition. This information is in your packet. It's also up on the screen. And be happy to answer any questions you might have. The Chair Biggs is here this evening to report on the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation.
Would you like to have? Hello. It's good to see you.
I'm Mike Biggs, Chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission for Trophy Club. Mayor, council people. They said everything. This, like Matt said, this is our third of the gas well plans, and we've gotten all the exceptions down pretty well by now. So they don't even bring it to us because they know we aren't going to prove anything with 10 exceptions to it. That got a lot of hand. So I think everyone's on the same page now on this thing. The traffic control was the biggest issue we had last meeting, and that's because the gentleman in that lot she pointed to, he has children, and they've been playing around that cul-de-sac their whole lives, When cars come out of there, he had legitimate concern. And so that was one of the biggest things we addressed. The rest of the wellheads were always a concern. We'll mark them. Well, no, let's mark them. Let's put them on there so everyone can see them. When the guy starts the bulldozer, want to make sure he knows where that wellhead is. So we covered everything pretty well on this, I think. Any other questions on this item? The vote was unanimous to approve this final plat from P&Z.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve with the noted exceptions that the Lot 100X, Block L of the Highlands at Trophy Club Neighborhood 7, Phase 3C addition be deeded to the town of Trophy Club for the right-of-way and access easement. and is executed and accepted by the town of Trophy Club prior to final plat filing.
I'll second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Mr. Biggs, it's good to see you. He's your neighbor. That's Dennis's neighbor, did you know that?
So am I, but he doesn't brag about it.
I know he does. I think there's something going on there. Okay, Terry.
Item number 11, case PD-AMD-23-001 Hutchins Barbecue. A, conduct a public hearing regarding a request made by Hutchins National LLC to amend Plan Development District 25, PD 25, to accommodate Roy Hutchins Barbecue. The subject property is legally described as Trophy Wood Business Center, Block B, Lot 2R2, approximately 2.052 acres, and is generally located at the northeast corner of Trophy Wood Drive and State Highway 114 in the town of Trophy Club, Tarrant County, Texas. The property is addressed as 3000 State Highway 114, Trophy Club, Texas.
Mr. Cox.
Okay, I am going to turn this over to Helen Eve pretty quickly, but the applicant is here this evening, so afterwards, if we've got any questions for myself, or Helen Eve, or the Hutchins family, they're also here this evening.
So we have a public hearing. Hearing is open at 7:58. I think anyone speaking?
No one signed up to speak.
Okay, right. Okay, public hearing is closed, 7:59. And are you going to speak to the next B? Okay. Terry,
Okay.
I think.
11B, consider and possibly act on a request made by Hutchins National LLC to amend Plan Development District -25, PD 25, to accommodate Roy Hutchins Barbecue. The subject property is legally described as Trophy Wood Business Center, Block B, Lot 2R2, approximately 2.052 acres, and is generally located at the northeast corner of Trophy Wood Drive and State Highway 114 in the town of Trophy Club, Tarrant County, Texas. The property is addressed as 3000 State Highway 114, Trophy Club, Texas.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We have quite a bit to go through on this item. I'll be as quick as possible. I want to be thorough. And as Matt said, the applicant is here this evening. And the P&Z chair, Biggs, had a really good idea. Once I went through the presentation, then we kind of went back and divided it and discussed the elevations and screening. Then we moved on to signage, and then we talked about some of the original PD regulation requirements and how this amendment will be fulfilling those. So I'd be happy to do that if you'd like. So the Hutchins National LLC, they've applied for a PD amendment to accommodate a outdoor storage containers on the east side of the property, a walk-in cooler, and some exterior modifications and signage. And as you all know, it's the former Breadwinners Cafe and Trophy Table. And this image is a blow-up of the site plan that directs arrows to the areas of the property of where we're going to be talking about on the far east. That's where the storage containers are going. The walk-in cooler is just to the northwest of the structure, and then the smokestacks and exhaust fans that are on the west elevation. And this is another blow-up. So we'll start on the east. There's an existing CMU wall at 6 feet in height. It will be extended 3 feet so that the outdoor storage containers are completely screened. And then along the frontage on the south end, along the facade of State Highway 114, there'll be 3 feet added to that horizontal wood fence to ensure that screening is completed. Then in the middle, piece you see that is identifying the screen enclosure along the western elevation, and then moving towards the left of the screen. At the Planning and Zoning Commission stage, it was a 9-foot wood fence, horizontal wood fence to match the other fencing, but the applicant said at that time that they would prefer to do the wall, less maintenance and upkeep. So the Planning and Zoning Commission accepted their change, and the plans in your packet reflect that. So we'll start along the west elevation. You can see that there are the smokestacks, and there are exhaust fans, but those are behind a 36-inch louvered screen material in this area, so you cannot see those exhaust fans. And there is also the screening for the walk-in cooler. During the commission meeting, the motion requested that the smokestacks be painted in a color that would blend with the facade elevation, and also the louvered screen around the exhaust fans, that those be painted as well. So the specification the architect provided is the cast iron gray color, and it is he spec'd the temperature. It's a high temperature paint and brand. It's in your packet as well as in the elevations and in the ordinance before you. The southern elevation just explains a little bit more detail of what you would see from State Highway 114 with the smokestacks, the louvered screening along the exhaust fans, and then on the east side of the site where the wood fence is being increased, so that the storage containers are completely screened. The eastern elevation, once again, they'd be adding the 3 feet to the existing CMU wall, and the same thing along the northern property. This is if you were looking to the south of the property. You can see the storage containers are dashed in the background, so these new walls will completely screen that area. And then the walk-in cooler, once again, that was once wood fencing, is proposed as a CMU 9-foot wall. So signage was another item for them that needed to be addressed, and they have proposed an entry sign along the State Highway 114 main entrance. It's a black and white. The cabinet's 6 by 12. Additionally, along that south end, there's a projecting, what we call a blade sign, and that is a sign in your base regulations that is prohibited, but it's an existing sign. What we consider that is they're just changing the copy from what it once was. And then along the southern elevation, they have a front wall where they'd like to include painted signs, which are also prohibited, but you do have those in certain locations in your community. There would be the Hutchins Barbecue sign, a USDA Prime 1, and a Coca-Cola sign. Folks consider, planners, folks that work in sign ordinances, that would be considered off-site signage, not necessarily the Hutchins Barbecue logos, obviously, but USDA Prime and Coca-Cola. Granted, they do sell those products there, but that's not the main business. So that's how we look at those, and we are accommodating them through the PD amendment. Along the western elevation, I think you all might remember when the trophy table was there, they had the long sign. So once again, they're just utilizing the existing sign structure, the sign frame, and proposing the Hutchins Barbecue Factory in the same size alignment. And then PD 24 had a number of requirements for all of the tracks. And then track 3, since this is the third time, things have been changed on this particular tract. And the original PD required all of these items to be provided for. And most of these have already been provided for, so we're not using them again in this ordinance. They've already been, these items have been satisfied. So this has to do with the final detailed site plan and elevations. You have the new ones. Those are in the proposed ordinance before you. The sightline studies, the structure's virtually the same, so those have not changed. The landscape plan and plant list is not changing. We've asked the applicant and their consultant to make sure that any plant materials that have died or are declining, that they be replaced, and they have agreed to that. The photometric plan, they're not changing any lights from the original exhibits that had been submitted. There was a wall and fence criteria plan in the 2015 ordinance that specifically addressed the wall around the dumpster location. That, once again, is not changing. The signage, we are adopting the signage through this PD ordinance amendment, and then a development schedule that really looks to undeveloped land, and this is obviously an existing structure. The public hearing notices were distributed as required by state law, and at the time of packet, we have not received any letters in support or in opposition. And staff recommends approval of the PD amendment as presented in the staff report and in the supporting ordinance before you. And with that, I will turn it over to Chair Biggs to review the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation.
Again, during this item, there was a lot of discussion. In fact, at least 3 of you or 4 of you were at the meeting, so you're well aware of what we talked about. And I was frankly a little bit amazed at where the conversation did go and where it didn't go. So, but we have a lot of qualified people on that committee, and so it was kind of interesting. The screen, the movie of the cooler and the screen, that was easy. I mean, that's, those are easy things. We were going to change it to CMU anyway from wood, so they went ahead and talked about that before we even had a chance to talk about it. The screen for the vent fans, the 2 fans that are behind the smokestacks, that was not a big issue except with me, in that we've made other people do that in the same PD, primarily the Holiday Inn. That was a big issue with that particular situation at the time. So I just wanted that to be in there to make sure those were screened adequately, and because we make everybody else do it, so it's part of the PD. The signage we did not address because the package was not complete. And apparently it's been completed. In fact, some of the stuff that was in the package wasn't even the right stuff to begin with. So we did not address signage at all at P&Z. The other item was there was some discussion about the screen of the smokestacks. And we have actually a retired HVAC engineer on our board, Paul Jablonski, and he had done some research on it and said, well, if you did it under the current rules, it'd only be 4 feet, it wouldn't do any good anyway. And so that was discussion on that. The paint, one of the other commissioners said, can't you paint these to make it look a little less, obvious that there they are, And a couple of the other commissioners' attitude was, hey, it's their building, they can do what they want to with it, and it's a barbecue place, should have smokestacks. So there was all kinds of sentiment on that issue alone. So we came up with what we have here, and the vote was 5-1. So I was the dissenting vote. It had nothing to do with walls or screens or anything like that. It had to do with the fact that we're amending a PD that should have been amended again before, and then the original smokestack stuff were not on the plans, and then all of a sudden they showed up out there, So the whole process is kind of why I said, we need to be a little bit better at this in the future on all these things, so particularly when you're amending a PD. It needs to be a little more comprehensive in the review before it comes up to us and then you. So, any questions?
Oh, questions, Luann? Did you have a question?
No. At this point, I don't. I was at that meeting, and I heard the diverse opinions that were raised in that. I do have some opinions, but I'll hold those until we discuss
Okay,
with
good.
council.
Anybody else?
Anybody others? Okay, so
Okay, thank you.
so do we need a motion?
No, I have a question, but
Okay.
it's not for Mike.
You what?
I have something I'd like to talk about, but
Okay.
I didn't need Mike there standing there with.
Okay. Okay, go for it.
If I may, thank you, Mayor. Staff, the AC on top of the cooler, that has been, that would be covered or wouldn't? It would be covered, okay. Got it. And the reference page 89, the north elevations on A300, that doesn't, I'm thinking it should include that side where the smokestacks are. It should show that, and it doesn't. When I use the word page 89, I'm talking about my agenda packet that I'm at.
Which
Okay,
elevation?
it would be the north elevation and A300. So it shows the CMU, but it ignores the entire wing over there on the right side of that picture.
Okay, I see that, thank you.
All right?
It is included on,
No, it's on the other ones.
Right.
But once again, the reason we're here is
We can have
because
them.
there was a mistake by the architect in not showing it the first time. So each of the elevations should be correct. And that's my opinion. And the rest of this is only my opinion. The PD 25 is different than any of the other PDs we have, in that changes have to be done by amendment to the PD. And it's directed that way. Altering the site plan, which has the approved elevation, is a change and requires a PD amendment. The smokestacks, as shown, are considered mechanical equipment. They're defined in the International Building Code, the International Mechanical Code. And I understand that we're intermingling, I'm intermingling smokestack and chimney. At P&Z, the discussion about the chimneys, the smokestacks varied. One of the persons said, I like the look. Another person said, it's their building, let them do what they want. And then the discussion over the 4-foot screen not being worth anything, because if you put anything higher, you'd have to raise the smokestacks. And so that kind of, in my opinion, slowed the conversation down, okay, and changed it. So that's where they started talking about the painting and things like that. I know it was 5-1 on the actual vote, but I've had in private conversation with a couple of the commissioners. They were concerned about the screening of the smokestacks and wanted, but they had a good conversation on it. So they were really split over that. Now, since the P&Z meeting, the engineering and architectural part of it has been determined that a 7-foot screen would be acceptable on the south and the west side and not interfere or impact the ventilation. Matt, could we go to I have some photos. Okay, you've got the smokestacks in the side as we see it now. Go to the next one. That's not warranted anymore. That's the smokestacks over on Meet You Anywhere, which are at the back of the building. This is important because the PD requires screening of mechanical equipment. It's in there. There's not a question about it. And one of the previous tenants, a Holiday Inn in PD 25, objected to screening their equipment. and it was a big deal, and we made them do it. And this is their screening on the Magnolia Bar and Grill, that the town, both P&Z and council at the time, enforced the rules. And I think that we should enforce the rules. The rule says, you know, screen them. So I'm recommending that, the next one. All right. I'm recommending that we enforce the rules on PD 25, the development standards number 10, that mechanicals be screened with a 7-foot screen on the south side, which is facing Highway 114, and the west side, which faces Trophywood, and it would be open on the back side. And this has been looked at by an engineer and also an architect. And this is coming from an architect who superimposed the Trophywood side.
Can I ask a question, Dennis, while you're
Sure.
on that point?
Absolutely.
So if you have, under your proposal, a 7-foot screen, go back to the current view of what they look like. So they're currently, what, 10 foot high?
They're 10 foot high. You've got if you paint them black, you still have the background and you still have the roof that's not painted.
No, my point is, though, even with a 7-foot screen, you're still going to see 3 foot at the top, correct, visible?
No, okay, you see that? You got that right there. Now let's go back to the screen. You'll see the tops, but now this viewpoint is from the sidewalk on Trophywood. In other words, on the property as far as the screening. You can barely see the very tops of you can't see 3 feet of them because you're on an angle. Your line of sight's angled. Make sense?
Sort of.
I'm not saying you agree, I'm just
No,
saying
yeah,
you
I mean,
understand where I'm coming
Yeah,
from.
I mean,
Okay.
to me, it's a little different in that when the Magnolia is completely enclosed. I mean, we did that for a reason. It was HVAC equipment. We made them enclose it. It looks good. I don't know. I don't think we're covering it as much in the line of sight, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, well, I think it should be done, and I think this is a proper way to do it. The other thing is Commissioner Chairman Biggs mentioned, the PD is pretty clear and hasn't really been followed in the procedures. The PD is very clear that no final no plans and final approvals as far as the COs were all to be done after the PD was changed, altered, approved, or not approved. And we want to be business friendly, and I understood and I knew before, I hadn't looked at the PD, but I knew before that they were going to issue a temporary CO that puts us in this part of, they're there. And as whether they were there on the plans by the architect or not, they're there now. And you may be like one of the P&Z persons says, I like it. You may be from one of the P&Z people who's an engineer who's been helped me design, get this design. Thank you, Mayor.
Other comments?
I do have comments. I, of course, listened to the discussion and how it kind of got into, well, let's paint them. But before I say anything, I want to say first to our Hutchins family, this is a wonderful new restaurant and a wonderful addition to this community, and we appreciate it very much. And I doubt it was directly related to you that these smokestacks weren't shown in the earlier renditions, and that's why we now are dealing with it here in P&Z and with the council. But I was on planning and zoning when the Magnolia restaurant went in, and their kitchen vents were required to be screened as mechanicals. And they had asked for an amendment to the PD, and it wasn't granted. And I think we need to be consistent and we need to be equitable in applying these type of decisions. I don't think we should honor it here and then say, well, we're not going to honor it here. Paul Jablonski, the P&Z HVAC engineer, I followed his threads, I followed his consultations, I saw where what Mayor Pro Tem Sheridan is requesting with a partial screening along Trophy Wood Drive. Now I see that you've extended it on the rendering all the way down.
Yeah, it's on the whole side and in the front on 114.
I think we could probably consider shortening that just to extend to where the actual stack stops, the 10th one, rather than wrapping the whole side. I just feel like the 7-foot screening would be less obtrusive. I think it would give it a cleaner look, but the most important thing to me is that we be equitable and that we not put ourselves into a corner where we approve something for one tenant that we wouldn't approve across the street for another. So I will, if you make a motion, I will second it.
Okay, I have a comment, please. And you indicated that those stacks are mechanical, is that correct?
Yes, they're
5 of
they're
them.
included in the mechanical.
Okay, I thought 5 of them supported the smoke, and the other 5 are not. They're not mechanical. They're all smoke? They all are, okay. Okay, I thought that 5 of them were just finished out the look.
Ventilation and infiltration, which this would be the ventilation portion, is included in mechanical.
Okay, good. I thought it was that. But my comment is that the P&Z had a really good discussion. And together, absolutely won. It was not unanimous. But the idea that they bring to the council what they propose to be meeting the requirements. And then we, in a period of time, reject and say, you know what, I think this is a better idea. And personally, I'm with Ryland Rowe and several other in the commissions. It's an aesthetic. Is it an aesthetic issue? I don't know. But I think it looks pretty good, and I think it has a way of branding their business, and it has a way of setting a new look for Trophy Club, which isn't all bad, because I know that all of us are dealing probably with people painting their houses white and making black window trims and a black roof, and all of a sudden, it's like, okay, I'm not liking this too much, but then, you know what? It's changed the look. It's modernized. It's given us a new look. And so my position is that I like the smokestacks. I think they look great, and particularly because you're going to paint them black. Because the black has a way of giving a good design and a good look. And it's a barbecue.
iron.
What?
Cast iron grill.
Cast iron, yeah. But it will give it a good look, and it blends, and it goes with HG Supply across the street. It blends and goes with our town hall. It's not standing out to be like a sore thumb. That's my position, and I like the pipes, the smokestacks. So, we want a motion?
Well, I'd like to weigh in first, and I'd like to say it takes a pretty significant thing to overturn a P&Z vote. In my opinion, this does not rise to that occasion.
I would
So
agree with you.
My support as is.
Okay. So is there a motion then to approve the, where are we? Is there a motion to approve it?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve this as presented.
Is there a second?
That's 11B we're talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about 11B.
Second.
Carl seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Did you get, then, and any abstain? Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, item 12, consider and take appropriate action regarding the approval of the Trophy Club Capital Improvement Plan budget for fiscal year 2024-2028.
Mayor and council, this is just required by charter that you see this on this date. So it's not really necessary to take action on this item, but we need you to just look and be aware of some of the items that we'll be bringing forward during the budget conversation over the next several meetings. So these are just projections and cost and things. That's why this plan is presented to you early in the budget stage. Anything else, April? Okay, so this
Okay.
doesn't require an action.
Thank you very much. That's easy. Go to 13, please.
13, consider and take appropriate action to contract with Civic Plus for civic clerk software.
April. Mhm.
So this item is for a new agenda software for our town council meetings. It helps with, it will help Terry and Maggie with minutes and recording those minutes. It also has a lot of features that our current provider for that does not offer. This contract that we're currently on ends September 30th, and with that, we were looking for a new solution that would give us more options. And that is what this item is for.
Any questions?
Looks like you negotiated a pretty good discount.
I tend to do that sometimes.
She's good at that.
Do they like you still?
We're still friends so far.
Any other comment? Is there a motion to approve the Civic Plus? Somebody want?
Yeah, I'll move to approve as presented the appropriate requisition request for procurement, oops, wrong one. The capital improvement program budget, that's number 12, correct?
Yeah, we're at number 13.
13. All right, let's go back and try that again.
We'll give you a second chance.
Yeah, motion to approve the request as presented by April.
I'll second. Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstain? It passes.
Thank you, Mayor and
April.
Council.
Thank you, April.
Congratulations.
Thank you, council.
Yeah. Item 14.
Okay, 14, consider and take appropriate action to approve and award an information technology support systems contract to NetGenius, Inc. Tamara.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For those of you who don't know, my name is Tamara Smith. I'm the assistant to the town manager, interim town manager Patrick Arata. So this evening, I just wanted to clarify that the contract that was sent to you this afternoon is informational purposes only. Everything that is in the contract is in the packet that you have in front of you. It just shows that we have revised and approved on both sides of parties a contract. And so just a little bit of background about our IT services. In August of 2020, we went into a contract with our current IT provider. It was a 1-year renewable up to 3-year contract. So the end of that contract ends in August of 2023. In May, we decided that we would like to go out for a request for proposal to find a new IT provider. This was an unexpected positive result. We've got 17 people who emailed us about the RFP and was interested in partnering with us. Out of those 17, we had 13 proposals submitted, and one of those was invalid because it was outside of the time frame. We had a rigorous selection process. It took us 2 weeks. We went over reviewing, evaluating, and discussing. Patrick and myself reviewed almost all of the proposals, and then we went out to all of the departments, 5 departments out of the 8 departments that we have in Trophy Club. We selected 5 people to be our third-party review. So they selected NetGenius as theirs, as well as Patrick and myself. And In our RFP, our top priorities were an all-inclusive pricing. That includes a 1 to 2 day personnel on site and a 24/7, 365 service for our fire and police. With that in mind, most of our proposals that we had did not meet those requirements, and we selected the top 3. Out of those top 3, we had an all-inclusive proposal, which was NetGenius. We had one that would not provide us on-site unless needed. They believed that we needed one. And then we had one that was an excellent proposal, but it was a cost plus. And what a cost plus means is that they would provide us services at an extra cost. So if it was an on-site personnel, it would be an hourly additional cost on top of monthly cost. So out of those 3, we chose 2 that we would like to ask additional questions to, get some clarification, and then give them scenarios so that we could see how they would interact with us on a personal level. And after 2 weeks, we decided that NetGenius was the one who checked all the boxes. They provide municipal experience, on-site personnel at a flat fee rate that the town of TrophyClub specifically asked for in our RFP, and they meet the needs of the organization. In their proposal, they stated that they're committed to providing the town of Trophy Club with honest technology guidance and counsel, and they're pledged to be transparent and diligent in performing work for the town while improving our informational security posture, which aligns with the Trophy Club core values. We were able to negotiate the price down and still be provided the same services that was requested in the proposal. We have NetGenius here tonight, Ben Singleton, co-founder and managing director of business operations, and Mo Sadecki, co-founder and managing director of technology, to provide a little bit of information about NetGenius and answer any questions. We're looking for council's guidance tonight to discuss and approve the contract. The start date would be August 1st, and then they would transition they would transition with our current third-party vendor. So we have NetGenius here to speak.
Hi, Mayor and Council. I'm Ben Singleton. This is Mo Sadecki. We are 50/50 partners. We own NetGenius. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our company. Before I do, though, I have to say, Mo and I grew up in municipal government. I was a full-time police officer, firefighter, EMT for 12 years, and Mo was managing our network at 14 years old. So we've been in the municipal government space for most of our lives. I've never seen a council commend and recognize people in the way that you all did today, so.
Very appreciative.
Thank you for
Especially the
that.
staff.
It's pretty refreshing. So about us, as I said, Mo and I we met at the police department, or at the city, as we were full-time employees there for about 12 years together. Mo was there a little longer than I was, as he started at 14. Truthfully,
I couldn't even drive. They would send a police car, actually.
we sent a police car to Martin High School to pick up Mo to come manage our network back in the day. And, fast forward 20 years from then, and here we are. We've been operating this business for about 7 years now. And we've been very blessed. We have a lot of cities as clients, and they are the clients that we appreciate most for obvious reasons. So you have that. As far as our service is concerned, Tamara was very good about describing how we bill our service. There's a reason we do it that way. When we first started, it was unheard of. We were one of the first in Texas to start doing this. And the reason we did it is because we, in a previous engagement, we built a software system for tracking fugitives. And while we were out dealing with those clients, which were also cities because they were police departments, we noticed that there were many police departments who said, we can't call our IT. We've already spent the budget for this month. We've had them on site 3 times this month. It costs this much, and we're not allowed to have them out again until next month or next year or whatever the case. And we're talking about police officers out on the side of the road who can't use their MDC in their car to determine whether or not the person they just stopped is a capital murder suspect. And so to us, that was unacceptable. So the way our service works is you pay us a flat monthly fee every month, and you don't have to worry about it. If you call us, we will come out and take care of it. So we will very quickly, I hope not to impose, but I think we'll very quickly become a part of your family, and you'll get to know all of our guys. We have 7 full-time employees that you will interact with. And yeah, we're here to help. If there's anything you need from us, please let us know. As far as what to expect in the coming days and weeks, we will start with a network assessment. So we will comb through everything in your network and produce a report. And in that report, we will tell you what our security findings are, what our recommendations are in terms of what we think you should budget for in the coming years. And then we'll develop a plan with you as to when we're going to replace machines, what the town's goals are in terms of technology and how we can make those things happen.
And keep everyone apprised of active threats that are out there, because this day and age,
Yes.
it is very strange out there with some of the technology that we have to interact with and some of the attackers of those said technologies. So looking forward to working with everyone.
And we're happy to answer any
How will
questions.
that affect the 7 of us sitting up here?
Well, I guess the first question is, are these managed laptops that you all have?
No, they look like personal devices.
So they're
Okay.
personals? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get your email on these devices? So you may need some help with that. Anytime you need help, we're going to give you our contact information as one of our first steps, and we'll have that distributed out to everyone in the city. We are available by phone, email, and our website. You will not have a problem getting in touch with us. I hope that our references were reached out to, and I hope that they all were honest about how quick we are to respond, because we guarantee a 1-hour response time.
And you're in Arlington, Texas, so you're very close.
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
That even makes it nicer.
Yes, ma'am.
Are any of your 7 staff closer to Trophy Club?
That is a good question. No, we don't have anyone out here yet.
Well, get
We
them
have
out here.
houses for sale.
Is that right? All right.
What did you say?
I said we have houses for
We
sale.
did. We'd love to have
I
you.
think the closest we have to you is Keller.
Well,
So that's not too far.
it depends on where Keller's boundary is. It's, there, it's everywhere, so it could be very close.
Correct.
I do have a question, if I may. My main concern is cybersecurity.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's going to keep us, do you have a net that can filter out the ransomware attacks? We know that this is 24/7 going on, 24/7. How come we hear that Dallas has been turned upside down with one? You know they've got to have great strength in their IT security. How can you protect us against that type of attack?
Sure. So in regards to the Dallas attack, actually, I have consulted on some projects for Dallas, and they were actually underfunded on their IT, and they were ignored on some of the recommendations that they needed for a B site or something to kick over to if there was some kind of attack that happened on their infrastructure. So what we do for our customers is not only do we take meticulous backups, because that's the only thing that can restore a cyber attack if something was to shut down the network, we also include a service where we can restore you to our data center, which is located in Dallas as well. So in case something happens to this city, God forbid, a tornado rolls through, a cyber attack happens, not only do we have our backups on site to restore, but if there's an actual physical loss of the building, we can restore you to our data center and resume operations. We keep in check with our law enforcement partners constantly. We are part of the CISA dissemination of any news or threats that are on the landscape, and we're constantly in training learning about the new attacks that are coming out and how to defend it.
To give you a bit of an idea, too, about our background with regard to cybersecurity, Mo and I have held intelligence conferences for the law enforcement elite, both in New York City and here in Texas. We are in touch with counterparts at the FBI and really every 3-letter agency that our government has when it comes to cyber. We have a local FBI office in Fort Worth where 2 agents that work there have taken a liking to us, and they come to our office pretty frequently to get information from us. So when it comes to the cyber world of things, we're pretty in terms of the information. Now, as it pertains to, protecting the town from cyber attacks, it's a layered approach, and we've always gone with that methodology because no one item is going to prevent you from, being a victim of some sort of attack. There's an attack out there that we haven't thought of yet, right? So in order to prevent those things from getting through and from causing network leakage or any kind of downtime or outage or ransomware infiltration or anything like that, we start with antivirus. We have Sentinel-1 Complete, which we will be pushing out to all the machines. It's included in our service. You will not be charged for it. With that comes ransomware detection. And what that does is, ransomware, what it does whenever it infects a system is it encrypts everything in the system, turning it into random characters so that it's not able to be used by anyone who doesn't have the decryption key because it's just gobbledygook when you look at it. The word file, the word document that you once had is now just a bunch of random characters, right? So in order to prevent that from happening, we start with the antivirus. And what that does with the ransomware detection is it detects when a document is converted into a encrypted document. So it says, okay, we're seeing documents that are being encrypted on this drive, and it stops it right away. It prevents that machine from allowing that infection to spread to other machines on the network. In addition to that antivirus, we will have firewall rules in place that prevent things like zip files from being downloaded without administrator approval. There's a ton of layers, and we'll have a network security monitor that will go on the network so that we can do full packet capture, so that if there is an infection, we can go back, and it's like a network TiVo. We can go back and see what exactly happened, and we can replay it, and then we know, okay, it was this attack from Russia that happened. This is the infection, so we know what the resolution to that infection is, so then we apply it, and we're back in business.
Your backup, is it real time, or is it once a day, or is it just through the cloud?
Every hour.
Yes, ma'am.
Every hour?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And that is an image-based backup, and it's very important to understand the difference. If you have a company that is backing up your files, right, they're just backing up the files. In other words, they're taking copies of all the files that you've stored in your system, and they're putting them over here. If you have a ransomware infection and we have to wipe every machine and restore from that infection, it's not good enough to just take these files and say, okay, here's all your Word documents, right? What we want is an image system, an image-based backup, so that all we have to do is restore the image. In other words, this is your entire computer in this file. We restore this file, it is your entire computer with all the files, all the software, everything that you had on it exactly as it was. Whereas a file-based backup doesn't give you those softwares, doesn't give you your logon information, doesn't give you any of that, it's just the files. And to restore from just a file-based backup takes forever because we have to rebuild the systems, we have to reinstall all the software. With an image-based backup, you don't do that. And the other benefit is that should, as Mo said, a tornado come through here and God forbid wipe everything out, you all will need a place to go that has all of your data so that you can continue to conduct business. Our data center has that place, and it's in Dallas. So should that happen, we can have critical staff go to our data center, we'll set you up with a workstation, and all of the information that was in this network is in that data center in our rack. And so you're there, you can conduct business the next day.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Back in 2020, when we switched over the last time, Chief, you probably remember, it was like a middle of the night, lock the doors, escort people out, and it was a real soup sandwich. And so as you guys come in, what kind of diligence do you do in terms of, are we doing the right things now? Do the previous guys do the right things? Are there monkeys in the works that need to be taken care of?
It's a very good question. It's the first thing we do. We're going to do a network assessment. And what we do is we'll go through and we'll look at things like firewall rules and see. You'd be surprised. We've seen a lot of companies that will get brought into a business or a city, and they'll say, you need a new firewall. And they'll go buy the firewall, and then they'll put it in, and they'll say, all right, you're good. The problem is that firewall does nothing until you tell it, you need to block zip files, you need to keep this from happening, no traffic from China or any other European country. Until you give it that information with which to control the network, it's not doing anything. And so
we'll go through all those rules. We'll go through all of the antivirus and everything that's on all the machines locally. We're going to replace a lot of that stuff with our flavor of stuff. But it'll do the things that you're asking for. And we can give you a list of all those things, that we put on the machines, all the softwares we use. We're also going to put our remote monitoring and management tools on these systems. That allows us to patch and update the systems, in the middle of the night when no one is on the machine, and keep them, where they need to be.
One follow-on question to that.
Yeah, and real quick, we have a 30-day transition, so both companies will be on site exchanging, and we're setting up a meeting now, once you take action, to make sure that happens.
Is the flock data part of this?
No, sir. Flock data is completely independent. That goes to the cloud right from the cameras.
Okay, so they never see any of that?
Nope.
Two quick comments, Mayor. Directed the first comment at you gentlemen. I like the fact that it's an all-in kind of contract. These plus-up contracts that we've been involved with are a nightmare. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I know I'm on the finance committee at our church, and our air conditioning system, I swear we get charged when I have to think about picking up the phone to call them. It's a nightmare. So I like that. To the staff, you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, you really reached out. You went to the subject matter experts, which is not us, but everybody that needs to touch this. So good job from that perspective.
Mr. Flynn, if I may, just to note on your point, the comment you made about, we don't have enough money for this or whatever, the nickel and diming that these companies do, if they have to come out, they charge you $400 just to
Yeah,
show
but the
up.
nickel and a dime, I can handle it, but it's never a nickel and a dime.
Right.
Goes to dollars, right?
Yeah. That is both bad for your budget and bad for your technology, because what ends up happening is you stop calling us, right? Something happens and you're like, ugh, it's going to cost money. I don't want to call them just for this. And when that may actually be some type of infection. It may be something as little as the keyboard's typing on its own, oh, it stopped, it's fine, and you don't call us, right? And when that happens, that infection is now spreading to other machines on the network, and it becomes a huge issue. So it's very important that you do call us anytime you need us, and the only way to make that happen is to make it all inclusive.
That's a good point.
I have a question. Can you give me an example or of an incident where you've had to come out or fix something, police or fire, what that looked like? How did that happen?
Sure.
What was the outcome of that? What was the response time of that? I think, making sure that if you are 24/365 for those particular services, what does that look like?
Sure. I personally have we have an on-call rotation at our company, and the way that works is we all work, we have kind of two different shifts that we work during the day, but each of us takes an on-call shift every week. And what that means is you're answering the phone all night. And so I've personally taken several of these calls where the network goes down at a city, and you hit the road, go out there and try to figure out what's going on, figure it out. We love doing it. I know you don't necessarily believe that yet, but you will find out that we do. And the reason we do is because when you show up at 2 a.m. to fix an MDC, everyone notices. And everyone appreciates it, and it's where we earn our stripes, is showing up to take care of that kind of stuff.
My favorite incident was the ice storm of 2021. And the power outages that were happening. And basically, the dispatch center of one of our cities was completely down. And lo and behold, there was some critical infrastructure that wasn't properly put on dedicated circuits. We made the drive out in the ice. Yes, it took a while, but we safely made it there. And we got the services restored, so the communications between the police officers and their vehicles and the dispatch center started flowing. That response took maybe 2 hours to get them up and running. But I'd like to say that, even with an ice storm, we respond and we will take care of the problem.
Okay. Other questions, comments? Dennis, you haven't said anything.
I have a question. I've already been through one agenda item tonight, but
I'm not going to screen the servers.
I know.
No.
Just go for
You
it.
do deal with the computer illiterates.
We don't
No,
call
like
them that.
myself.
No, it's,
All right.
So they
we're
can
just
make my
missing
phone
some
work?
education, yes.
Can we fix that?
I-
What did- Did they,
yeah,
did they
they
answer your
answered my-
question satisfactorily?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question,
Oh, good, go for it.
okay? You see the laptop sitting here. I have one, I just don't happen to have it with me. Obviously, we're interacting. Would there be any securities that would be proliferated out for that?
To personal machines,
Mm-hmm.
it's something we'd have to discuss with administration and of course, you all, but personal machines are hard because depending on the level of access. So if we give, for example, access to the network via a personal machine over a VPN or something like that, which does happen, we're now assuming that your machine, which we have no control over, is clean. And that is a very risky thing to do. So we will discuss with administration what is the best way to facilitate, your needs. Like, we're never going to tell you, no, we're not doing that, right? What we will tell you is, here are the risks, and here maybe is another alternative option that might be safer and better for the city. We will never tell you no, as I said, but we will tell you what the risks are.
And I'm not saying that we have a need at this point in time.
Sure.
I'm just looking for something that down in the future for collaboration.
Sure, and there are other options. We can make these machines dumb terminals, for example, so we don't care what they are. It's your personal machine that has viruses on it, that's okay, because what we'll do is establish another way for you to remote in using that machine as a dumb terminal. So in other words, no data traverses between your machine and the network. You're remoting into another machine on the network, inside the network, and using that machine to conduct work. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but we'll work with you to find the safest and best way, best way.
You guys sound very thorough. I just might recommend that you stay away from Councilman Beach's personal laptop. Just saying here.
Okay,
I don't know how
fair
good you
enough.
are, but
Noted.
I don't have a laptop. I got a pad.
Okay, are we, Patrick?
Nope.
Okay, are we ready to make a motion for the approval of this contract?
Immediately,
I'll make a
yes.
motion to approve agenda item number 14.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Bauer, Councilman Bauer, and all those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed? Those abstained?
Absolutely.
Thank y'all very much.
Motion passes.
We're really
Thank
looking
you
forward to
very much.
working with you.
We look forward to,
We
love
are
you
so
being so
thankful.
close, so close. And you could, there's a house here just for you.
We drove into town and I mentioned something about moving here, but only
Excellent.
in jest.
Excellent.
All right, thank you very much.
We
Thank
have
y'all very much.
plenty of realtors. Thank you very much.
Look forward to getting to know you guys.
Let's go to item number 15. No, yeah,
Let's move item number 15 to
that's
after
right.
the
We're moving
executive
15
session.
down, so we're going to 16, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Discuss
you.
the result of the MUD feasibility study. Councilmembers Beach and Flynn.
We're to the feasibility study. All right, as you all know, or may not know, Trophy Club and the city of Westlake, in conjunction with the MUD, conducted a feasibility study looking at the potential dissolution of the MUD. And we hired a contractor, independent contractor, to come in and make evaluations. And we have gone through that process, and we have been given an executive summary. And that executive summary has been distributed to all the parties. And it's at a determination point now on looking at the numbers, whether or not, as a town, we want to move ahead and initiate phase 2 of this. We were looking at it in phase 1, just looking at a hard case of the numbers and where it might stand, because the goal is to not, or is to achieve dissolution but not cost or elevate cost for the citizens in doing so. So, and it is not an easy matter. We looked at the mud and doing it without the fire department portion of it in the equation, because we needed to see exactly where that stood as a standalone unit, mainly because we're in the process of negotiating an ILA for the operation of the fire department services. So, Steve, is there anything that,
No, there's, in your packet, we provided what was provided by Chris Eckert from Nugent. It's a very high-level summary about kind of explaining exactly what Jeff just said, where we're at. One of the recommendations down the road, this is probably be more like September timeframe, is for all three entities at one time to be together to talk about this. We've been together as a subgroup, but we meet as a council, we're talking about it, the MUD has done the same, Westlake may or may not be doing that. The idea is for all of us to be in the same room at the same time, in an open forum, a town hall forum, if you will, to talk about it. Because we've been talking about this for a long time, years. And we need to get to the point, as Jeff says, what do the numbers tell us? Can we all agree on it? And does it make sense to go forward with the next phase or not? And I think that's what we'll know when we all get together and everybody has a kick at the can and can talk about it. And most importantly, our citizens can sit there, if they're interested, and understand it and weigh in. So that's kind of the next step.
Did you say November?
September.
September.
Is that scheduled for September?
It's not scheduled yet. It was a placeholder. Last time we had a meeting, we got to get together and, see if that is in fact the next step. And quite frankly, we got to have all stakeholders there. It doesn't do any good for us in the MUD to meet if we don't have Westlake, or us in Westlake if we don't have the MUD. They all got to be there.
and what we have to do is we have to give chief direction on whether or not to proceed to schedule this meeting or not. And that's gonna be up
Have you
to us.
seen the numbers? Does this look like it's from, forget Westlake and forget the mud, from the town portion? Does it seem like it's favorable to the town to do?
The initial numbers that we received, okay, look like it would be a slight increase in cost. However, there was a second study that was done. There was new numbers that were provided based on a different calculation by the MUD that showed the opposite, that there would be a slight decrease in costs. Okay, now this is just taking into account water and sewer only. It is not bringing into the equation the fire department and how the fire department works, and the costs associated with the fire department. So that was separated. And basically, we looked at doing a complete dissolution, and then we looked at dissolution of the MUD with continuing sewer service to Westlake. Okay, and then we looked at dissolution where Westlake goes on their own and the MUD continues to operate, but in Trophy Club. And there's complications with that because of Westlake's position. They are part of the MUD in that specific area. I think it's 47 homes and several businesses, okay? And they were involved in it when the upgrade to the sewer system or the sewer plant was done. So they have to participate in that repayment portion. So this is an extremely complicated matter. And then when we get done with the complicated part of the water and sewer, then we have to look at how the fire department would would react. So what we need to do is we need to make a decision tonight on whether or not we wish to continue to pursue this.
I would, oh, go ahead. I'm just wondering, let's hear from the MUD. Do they want to pursue it? And if they do, then we respond. Let them step up to the plate and say, okay, we want a meeting. And
Now,
then we respond.
let me address that, Mayor. We are, since day one, we have, as the town, have been kind of driving this effort. The MUD's been part of it, but again, it was kind of the town that brought all three parties together. And I think we have to continue to drive the to drive the progress, to have the meeting, because this meeting is going to tell us everything. We're going to be at a critical point with everybody there that says, we're either going to continue to talk about this or we're not. Because right now, we're talking, they're talking, somebody's having a meeting, somebody's not. We've got some data. We need to all get together, in my view, sit down at one time, talk about it, and either move forward or cut bait and let's move on and worry about the other things of the town.
Then is that meaning you and Jeff would attend a meeting of the other parties, or would that require the council and the other parties?
My view is it would be whoever on the council wants to go, but it's open to everybody. I mean, I'm talking about a town hall type meeting where key people in this community who've been part of this, we know who they are. I mean, this has been going on 20 years. Let's have a presentation that everybody can hear at the same time with the same information, ask all the questions, and make a decision whether we're going to go on or not go on. Because I think we're at the point where the numbers are going to tell us one way or the other whether this makes sense.
And if you don't have all of the parties there, like Westlake, are you going to achieve your goal?
I don't see how you can.
Okay.
All three, I mean, in my view, if we have this meeting and one of the parties doesn't show up, then that tells us something, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I thought I heard you say that Westlake doesn't want to play in the sandbox.
That's not the case, but they have indicated that they would like for us to lead the effort and make a commitment.
Okay. Okay.
I was expecting to get the feasibility to look at in June and July, and now I'm hearing September. And I'm hearing different numbers from different things. How much are we paying for this? Is it a set fee?
It's not to exceed, I think, 50,000.
That was for phase one, which is now complete.
Yeah, so we paid half of that.
So,
Westlake paid the other half.
all right, so we're in 25,000. How much more are we going to be in for this next phase?
We don't have a number on that because
They haven't given,
we haven't devised what the next phase would exactly look like at that point.
okay. Got it.
So would you have this combined meeting before you do the next phase? How does,
We have to, because we're not going to go, in my view, we're not going to go forward unless all three parties are going to be part of it.
okay,
And all three parties need to
exactly.
financially be part of it, because that wasn't the case in
All right,
phase.
so phase one's complete.
Yeah.
Then what is phase two? Having this meeting or getting more reports?
It's more analysis, it's more exactly, okay, if you want us to go forward, we think this makes sense financially, what's it gonna take, how's it gonna roll out? I mean, that's kind of the
Well, when we
sausage-making
had our
of it.
first meetings in executive session on all this stuff, I was expecting this report in June, July to be that.
Well,
Analysis.
it was, we knew it was gonna take 90 days to pull that.
Right, yeah, and remember, I'm talking about, I know,
Thought it would be the end.
this is months ago that we had these meetings. We initially approved the cost and to do this and set up the subcommittee. All right.
The only point that I have is if, my understanding, and I'm mud ignorant, my understanding is that ultimately Westlake wants out. And if Westlake wants out, who foots the bill? We end up footing the bill. So that's why we have to drive. And if the three entities aren't getting together and talking, then someday we're going to be blindsided and we're all going to write a check. So,
Well, they've been
to
down
me,
that
it
road, you're
needs to
right,
be a
Carl, before, right? A couple years ago, they tried to go to the legislature and, it's gonna happen again.
Okay, let me see if I can help. Okay, so we have a feasibility study report that came out that was finalized. Alan provided some different numbers. We came up with a second report. So that's what he's talking about, is we got clarity on that the other night. But what you're talking about tonight, is moving forward. It does take all three entities to take action to dissolve the mud. Okay, they have to vote, you have to vote, and Westlake has to vote. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So what he's talking about is a joint meeting with all three boards, the Mud Board, the Town Council of Westlake, and the Town Council of Trophy Club. Get together, have a meeting, let Chris talk to you about these numbers and the information he's found out, and let you know what it means, what the sewer rates are gonna be in years to come, what the water rates are gonna be here to come, what the buyout is to pay for the debt that the mud has, and how that would all work. The question truly is, do you want to have that meeting? And if so, what agenda item do you want on that agenda? Because if there's no action item, because we would need an action item on the agenda to make a decision, right, to dissolve the mud or not, because you have to take action. And I'm not going to say what, the town manager of Westlake says, but we're talking, and he's not interested in moving forward until after you take action. Trophy Club has to do something before Westlake will even entertain doing anything else. So, and that, he and I had that discussion the other day. So, and the mud is what the mud is.
And if we take action, then the mud needs to take action.
No matter-
They have to get in.
Nothing happens unless all three of you
That's
take the
correct.
same
And
action.
so the question is, do you think the mud would take action? Do you believe that the mud would want?
That's a better question. Do we believe the mud?
Do you believe the mud
from
wants
what-
to dissolve and become one governing body? And I think that is, hey, guess what? Past experience predicts future, so.
Well, do I believe it?
Do you believe it?
I think that they're ambivalent at this point. Okay? And does it behoove them to continue on residing or in their present existence when we could move everything under one roof? There is a whole host of positive things that would come through with the dissolution of the mud. Starting with, if you all remember in Ice-Mageddon, when they weren't postured for putting out the public information of water outages and main breakages, things of that nature. Okay, if they were part of the city, we have a communications department to handle that. There's a lot of positive to come from this. First of all, the PID residents have no voice currently in the affairs of the mud. Okay? If it's dissolved, okay, the town council speaks for the people and the people speak to the council members.
You know what, Jeff? We all believe that. However, if the mud does not want to work with it, it doesn't make any difference. And apparently they don't. Or we would see more action or more activity from them coming to us and working with us. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, but I also would agree that if we don't do anything, if we don't take a vote to say that we want to dissolve the mud, then we've guaranteed an outcome.
Well, if we take a vote to want to dissolve the mud, but they don't want to dissolve the mud, what difference does that make?
Well, then Westlake takes a vote. And mud elections are coming up.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know.
I've been closer to this than probably anybody up here. I've been on the mud. I've been listening to this for a long time.
I have to.
I guess I would challenge every council member the next week or so. Ask yourself the question. And I'm asking myself this question too. Is the MUD organization and the services that the MUD provides to this town, is it a quality organization? Is it a quality group of people? Is it quality water? Do we have TCEQ jumping down our back because we're not a well-run organization? I think that's the question we have to ask. Because the numbers got to make sense at some point. If they don't, then we got to stop talking about it. But I think we need to, in fairness, step back and say, is it worth all of this? I mean, Jeff brings up some good points about some other, things that could be achieved. But maybe better communications could be achieved tomorrow just by trying harder and focusing on it. I'm just challenging all of us to ask ourselves that question.
Dennis.
Okay. You made a comment that this report's finalized?
The feasibility study, yes.
Yeah, the feasibility study is finalized. Then why don't I have a copy to look at?
That's a good question.
I'm not making any decision until I see that report, and that's basically the same thing I said when it was originally approved. That whether or not we continue on is based on what I see in that feasibility. But I see in the talking points, there's confidentiality of data, and I'm trying to think of, well, we just paid for it, why can't I see it? And before the MUD directors, I understand what you're saying, and understand that if the MUD directors haven't seen this, what's to say that they can make up their mind?
They've gotten basically the general information you just got from that executive summary. And I
that's
will go
nothing.
back,
Excuse me, that's nothing compared to, I want to see the report.
Right, yeah. And my recollection of the ending of that meeting was there was a delay because Alan said, I got some new numbers for you. And I think that delayed it, but I think the delay is wanting to get everybody to get it so they all hear it at the same time. So, but we'll go back to Chris and ask, if there's any complications, and we'll talk to Dean about that.
Okay, because I agree I agree that we should try to dissolve it, but the question is it financially feasible? And that's what I thought the feasibility study was going to tell me.
If I may, that was also my understanding, that this is a strong organization. They provide great quality. We've got a great water treatment plant. They're strong and they're reliable and they're dependable. Now, granted, there's some communication issues that we face, but as far as an organization, they've done a great service. But what we were going to look at was the numbers. Did it make sense financially for our system to integrate town operations in the MUD? You can call it dissolution, you can call it integration, where the town would take over the operations. Does it make sense financially, fiscally, for our citizens? And I think that's what it boils down to. Does it make financial sense? And we have not gotten that answer. We're hearing about this final report, but other than maybe the two on the subcommittee, I don't think any of us have seen any numbers. So how can we even give you direction if we don't know if it makes economic sense?
I agree. Do you want to answer that question?
Well, I agree. So the thing to do, if I'm hearing correctly, Chief, is at our next meeting, we need to bring those numbers forward, or we need to send them, or so they can see them.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is I'll contact Chris. So let me just ask you this. So this is just a discussion about direction. Do you have any interest on having a multi-jurisdictional meeting with the possibility of other people not showing up? Because if you don't, then I don't see why you just don't hand you the report. Because we're not going to take, yeah. I mean, you don't have to make that, we can see the numbers. I mean, we know what the answer is. He told us. So.
Past experience, now this takes it way back, but when we did the Blue Ribbon report, We met right over here at this church. The mud did not show. Their attorney showed, and that was it.
Right. Yeah.
Not one mud member. And we spent 4 months on a blue ribbon study.
Well,
Now, I'm not denying the fact that we don't want to integrate. I'm just giving you past experience, and that was what happened.
I can tell you, the odds of the mud showing up for this meeting are pretty good.
Yes.
Well, whether
But
they show
Westlake-
up or don't
Westlake-
show up, or Westlake shows up, I mean, that's over here. What I'm hearing very clearly is you all need to see what we have seen so far, spend time looking at it, so you can make a determination as a council member whether to say yay or nay going forward, right?
Okay. Yep, we'll get
Fair
that
enough.
report out to you.
Okay, so that will be, first we'll see the numbers before we give direction for the next step.
Yep,
Is that what y'all are saying?
yep, we'll send out the report and then we'll put it on the next agenda item.
Okay. Good job, Jeff.
Or you might take some time to read it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Number 17, discuss the establishment of a public arts committee, commission, or board. Tamara.
Mayor and council. So during the workshop on June 27th, council discussed that they wanted to transition the public arts subcommittee into a boards and commission appointment. In the agenda packet, there's a boards and commission handout. The handout discusses a brief description of the 4 major categories that define the Town of Trophy Club's boards, commission, and committee. As council continues to discuss the avenues for establishing a public arts commission, there is also a suggested scope of work and purpose statement to illustrate the potential use for the board, commission, and committee. Staff is prepared to place this on the next agenda item to take action after you discuss.
Okay, I'll open up the discussion. This is something that has, again, evolved because of different input from the community. And it also supports our statutes. It also supports what we want our town to look like. And so I did a little research and found that other towns have art and culture commissions, small ones, big ones. And in this, we can place various different aspects of it. And one, I will just say to you, one of my friends in Trophy Club is a poet laureate. And he wanted to have a poet laureate for Town of Trophy Club. That falls under a culture piece. So in addition to that, there were a couple of other items that came up, and I thought, okay, so what we need to do is to look at Art and Culture Board. Now, the other reason I wanted to do it is I think it gives us another way to reach into the community and bring people into the town, into the community to support and build and create our town. And it kind of takes us out of the analytical stuff and gets us into creative stuff. So we've got a lot of creative people in this town. We have people who want to contribute to the town. It would give ways for them to dedicate money, donate money. Today, I just received a note from a resident here. She oversees children dance, and she wants us to come to the dance over in Keller. And I called her and I said, Beth Ann, we are going to open up this. Are you Beth Ann? Oh, my goodness, there she is. And so she's very interested in serving on this committee. And that's what I'm hoping that this would offer us. And so Luann is helping to oversee this, but that's how it started. It has a way, again, to build our community. Any other comments?
If I might, as far as structuring this, we would want it to start as a committee, so that committee can structure it by stating the goals and timeframes, setting up how many, it would not be a board, it would be a commission, I would think. Setting out how many people they would want on it, what the direction would be, how they would, what would be included, what genres, what we're going to put into this ultimate commission, and then have that serve as an ad hoc for maybe 6, 9 months, a year, until they're ready to go into a full-blown commission, whatever it takes them to plan it out, get it organized, and get ready to present it to council.
Well, I love your slide. These are, y'all, if you haven't looked at this, this really lays out the difference between boards, commissions, and committees, which we haven't really had a good source of. So, this is just an opportunity to talk about direction. Does the council want to, Tamara to proceed? And then maybe we can come back and talk about this related to a decision for a board. Is that what you're looking at this for?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I can
These
put it
are
on the
really
next agenda item if y'all, or the next agenda if you'd like to take action on it.
Yeah, I think it'd be great if we could look at this and come back prepared and take action at our next council meeting. Because we would like this to coincide with our selections and our appointments to boards and commissions so that they can get started ASAP, right, Beth Ann? In September. So that'd be great. Okay. How about that? Do y'all speak for the council? Okay. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's see.
We moved 15 to the end.
Yeah, we moved 15 to the end. Mrs. Patrick.
Mayor, council, future agenda items. So the strategic plan, we're still waiting for a workshop to talk about that. Item number 2, we'll be discussing an executive session. The roundabout, we'll get to that. We did just paint the roundabout with updated striping and stuff, and we'll come back to that. I think we're still working on some additional, different funding or a different company for some flashing lights and stuff for the crosswalks. I think they went out to a different company. The short-term rentals, we'll pass that off to our new attorney and revisit that in the future. The baskets, also the same topic, and then you just talked about the Public Arts Committee. So,
In the packet, you want to change Sheridan to Oldham?
okay,
Which one?
Number 6?
yeah, the committee.
Oh, yeah, that should be council. That should,
Okay. Anything, anybody want to add or take off, or?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to add to future agenda items, 2 items I'd like to look at. One, I'd like to relook at phase 2 of the pool. And second, I would like, go ahead.
Second that, is that what you need?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And then second, I'd like to explore options to look at revenue for Trophy Club Park.
Okay. Back, if, phase 2 of the pool, anything particular are we going to be talking about, or the whole project?
I'd like to look at the whole project, slides included,
Okay,
finances, and relook at that as a whole piece.
okay,
And
yeah. We'll
maybe
have to-
look at maybe need to look at the Parks Board and where that sits with them, but we should look at that again.
Okay, yeah, that one, we'll have to do that at the next meeting because it's
Yep.
scheduled to start
I know.
very soon. Okay, we'll bring that back. Anything else?
anything? Good?
Let's go in short term. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see, Terry, would you please read?
Executive session, 19, pursuant to the following designated section of the Texas Governmental Code, annotated Chapter 551, Texas Open Meetings Act, the town will recess into executive session to discuss the following. A, Section 551.074, personnel matters, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. 1, town manager, 2, town secretary, 3, town attorney. And number 20, pursuant to the following designated section of the Texas Government Code, annotated Chapter 551, Texas Open Meetings Act, the town will recess into executive session to discuss the following. Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. I would like to point out that the mayor has submitted a conflict of interest, and she will leave the meeting before we talk about item 20.
Okay, we will, it's 9:26, we're going to